Oh, see, you thought this was gonna be the edgy hat because it has a bandana, right? Well, no, I got something even better for that joke. But the war pig still has a stereotype. It's worn by players of all skill levels, but they all tend to overestimate their skill. So a pretty good soldier with the war pig would probably think that they're just a god at the game, whereas your average pub soldier would just jump into the enemy team thinking they can solo it and get smashed. This is the war pig of pyro hats. These guys tend to overestimate their skill by a pretty big margin. Now, I'm not saying that they're all bad or anything, but they do tend to put themselves in impossible situations and then get themselves killed. You know, come to think of it, I think I'm just gonna call all hats like that a war pig from now on. Yeah. This hat is a classic war pig. For those of you who don't know, a war pig basically means that players wearing the hat overestimate their own skill, and they'll more often than not get themselves killed because of it. Now, I'm not saying that Scotch bonnet demos are all bad, but they think they're way better than they actually are. Classic war pig. Man, if I had a nickel for every time I've seen a one-man army heavy jump around the corner into the whole enemy team and get destroyed, I'd probably be able to go and buy another Australium or something. Hey, look, another war pig. Except this time around, it's a full-on superiority complex. This guy thinks he's the tactical, cunning, intelligent, frickin' Shiro of an engineer man, and he has to make sure that everybody knows it. Except, you know, half the time his plans don't even work, and it's clearly his team's fault, not his. No, that would just be stupid. This one's a war pig. They usually run minis, and you'll probably find them trying to battle NG their way through the entire enemy team. I mean, if I'm being honest, they'd really just be better off playing Scout. But most of them can't actually aim, so they just play NG so their sentries aim for them. Now this hat is a total war pig. Okay, in fact, a lot of spies' hats are war pigs, but this one is probably one of the bigger ones. This guy uses the sharp dresser all the time and thinks he can trick stab, and he probably can't. Oh boy, so there's actually quite a few stereotypes for this one. Okay, 1. This is the war piggiest of all war pigs to ever war pig. Oh man. I mean, sure, there are some good anger snipers out there, but almost every single one of them thinks that they're way better than they really are. 2. These guys will almost always be using either a bot killer sniper rifle or an opper hand, and there are 5 different options for their names. Aimbot.exe, something about a point-and-click adventure game, something including their own name, like Assassin King's own sniper rifle, something insulting or talking about the spawn room, or a Lenny face. Yeah. Oh, right, and number 3. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had to do it, man. That was just too perfect. Okay. Sorry. Now this hat is a total war pig. You'll see a lot of frontrunner scouts that are just as overconfident and obnoxious as the scout himself, which just makes it all the more satisfying to just completely destroy him. This is another war pig. He'll tend to favor pipes over stickies, but that's really just because he thinks he can hit every pipe that he shoots, and realistically, he probably can't. This hat is a war pig, but not quite as big of one as some of the others that I've mentioned before. These guys tend to know what their skill level really is, but they don't take that into consideration before jumping into battle. Like, even if they realize, hey, I'm probably not good enough to take out that heavy medic combo just with my shotgun, they're still probably gonna run in anyway. All I'm saying is there's a reason this weapon has nicknames like the direct shit, the direct miss, or the best melee weapon in the game. This is the first weapon that I can safely say is definitely a war pig. Now, I started using this term when I was making hat stereotypes. It's based off the hat for the soldier, the war pig. The stereotype for this hat was that players wearing it always overestimated how good they were at the game. And then I discovered that a bunch of other hats had this stigma, so I just started calling them all war pigs. Now, as far as weapons go, this is one of the best examples of a war pig. Players using the direct miss usually think that they're way better than they really are. Now, that's not to say they're all bad. There are definitely some people who use the direct shit who are good, but those guys probably think that they're the best thing to grace TF2's server since Lenny Binds, so... This is a very common pyro secondary since it allows for pretty good burst damage at short or long range. That said, because it's so common, it's usually seen as a war pig. There's the whole puff and sting combo that so many people love to use, and since they're using the meta combo, they probably think they're really good at the game. Unfortunately, they'll often completely screw up the sting part and end up looking pretty dumb. This is probably the closest thing to a war pig in the engineer's arsenal. For those unaware, a war pig is a reference to that hat for soldier, and it's used to refer to an item used by someone who overestimates how good they are at the game. The Widowmaker presents a huge risk-reward situation, and it's used by people who are confident enough with their own aim to justify that risk. So it's not all that surprising that Widowmaker engies usually think they're really good at the game, and granted, sometimes they are, but usually they aren't. This is by far the biggest war pig in this series that I've covered so far, and at the same time, it seems kind of unfair. There's a ton of reasons you might want to use this. You might be a CSGO player, you might think the model looks better, you might just think it sounds cool, whatever, but at the same time, it's very rare to encounter an op sniper that doesn't think he's hot shit.
Alright, court is now in session. Honorable Judge Sam Smith now presiding.
Hey guys, sit down. I don't call me honorable. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing here. Okay, now calling for the record the case of pretentious spy mains v. everybody else, civil case number 102. Counsel, please identify yourselves for the record.
I'm Maxbox on behalf of the plaintiff.
I'm Spurgy on behalf of the defense.
Okay, excellent. Are there any housekeeping matters that we need to take care of before the trial starts?
Yes, Your Honor. As the representative of skilled spy mains everywhere, we request to be given double the time for the defense for opening statements. According to Article 264,933-C, the time allotted for opening statements should be directly proportional to the average skill of the represented groups.
Objection! First of all, that's fucking stupid. Second of all, that's not even a real law.
Well, it should be. You're not even using the ambassador. That obviously means you can't aim worth a damn.
Just because you use a gun that can headshot doesn't mean you can actually hit them. I bet you couldn't even hit the broadside of a barn with that thing. What is that? An Australian ambassador with 5,000 kills on it? Your headshots part isn't even past 100.
I just put on that part yesterday, thank you very much.
What, just because you think that
you're not using the ambassador,
maybe hit one or two
guys,
headshots means you can drop a head? No, that's not it.
The trial hasn't even started yet. Are you serious right now? So this is by far one of the most divisive stereotypes I've ever covered. About 50% of the comments I read and people I talked to said that the ambassador is a weapon for the most skilled of skilled spy mains, and everyone who uses it should be regarded as a god amongst men. And the other 50% said that it was a huge war pig, so everyone who uses it thinks they're a god amongst men, but in reality can't hit the broadside of a barn. I've honestly never seen such an even split for a stereotype before. I think what it boils down to is that if somebody uses the ambassador religiously, then their opinion falls into the first category, but more often than not, their actual skill will fall into the second category. On the other hand, if someone doesn't use the ambassador 100% of the time, then they know how to play to their strengths, but they also probably struggle with aiming and hitting headshots. One thing that's for sure though, is that if you see an ambassador spy, he's absolutely going to try to use it on you and get those sick frag video clips. Yep, this one's a war pig. Yeah, sure, this guy might be decent, or dare I say it, good, but he's not nearly as good as he thinks he is. You can usually find these guys trying to do rollouts on CP process and probably failing miserably. This guy is a super ultra mega tryhard, and also a weeb, apparently, and also an asshole, and he's also a Muselk fanboy. And also, it's a war pig. Jeez, there are a lot of strongly worded opinions about this thing, huh? Wow. It's almost like every single negative stereotype ever got funneled straight into this thing. Man, that's a bummer. It looks really cool. You know, it's weird, because if you've ever met somebody wearing this, then you'd realize that all of these stereotypes are absolutely true. Fuck you if you wear this, you are literally Satan. Gotcha! This one's a pretty solid war pig. I've seen tons of these guys that just run around spraying flame particles everywhere and thinking they're hot shit. Yeah, you get the idea. I don't think I've ever really seen a bad pyro wear this, but then again, I've never seen a good one wear it either. They're just kind of average. Warpig. Just hardcore Warpig. Really, you'd think that most heavies who think they're amazing would be wearing edgier stuff, like the Purity Fist or the Steel Jaw or something, but this one is just... wow. Of course, there's usually a more reliable indicator of this, like having a medic buddy with matching unusuals or something like that, but more often than not, this is just used to fill out the set of a heavy who gives himself a little bit too much credit. This one's just a huge-ass Warpig. It's pretty much always worn with a nun hood and the blighted beak, and they'll die a lot. Like a lot. Just picture this heavy. Just take this energy right here and put it inside of a medic, and that's the Angel of Death in a nutshell. Despite this, I really don't think they're gonna learn. They're just gonna keep playing medic like they would a Flog Pyro and just run in and die.